What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today we're going to be reviewing the Season 2 story, or Season 2 episodes, Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. It is another two-parter. It's the first two-parter, actually, of Series 2. And, it is, of course, the return of the Cybermen to the modern series. They haven't been in the modern series up until this point. So, I'd say the second biggest monster to come back after the Daleks, of course. And, it's one that I've always thought was decent. People seem to have quite mixed opinions on this story. I've always quite liked it, but have seen some issues with it. So I was interested to know, going into this one more analytically, what I would think of it. So without further ado, let's get started with the cast. David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. I mean, he's always really, really good, and he is here as well. Has quite a large cast to act against here, and just like a lot of other episodes, he has the serious moments, he has the funny moments, like when him and Rose are, kind of the waiters at Jackie's party, and he starts laughing because they figure out that the Rose in this parallel universe is a dog, not a person, and the Doctor just starts chuckling to himself. Plenty of funny moments here, plenty of good moments, and yeah, all round, just as usual, really very good from David Tennant. Billie Piper as Rose Tyler, also very, very good in this story. I'd say a very Rose-heavy story, but to be honest, it's not massively, actually. I'd almost say that Mickey's more of a focus in this one than Rose is. I mean, she's there, she's doing a lot, but yeah, I'd say Mickey is more of the focus. But for what Billie Piper gets given here, she's very good. She also has all the stuff with her dad from the parallel universe, her mum from this parallel universe, and all that stuff going on. So yeah, some interesting moments going on there. Once again, she is quite annoying. Going through and rewatching these episodes, I'm realizing how annoying and kind of, I don't know, almost selfish Rose is at some points. The fact that she's like, I don't care, Doctor, I'm going to go see my dad. Don't care what you're saying. It's very brattish. She's very brattish in these first couple of seasons. But all in all, she does a good performance. And Noel Clarke as Mickey Smith, yeah, probably his best episode, to be honest. I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the episode and you're watching this review. There are spoilers in these reviews, by the way. This is Mickey's final proper episode. He kind of became a companion in this kind of start of series 2, and yeah, ended up actually leaving and staying in the parallel world in this episode. And yeah, he did a really good job. Of course, there's two Mickeys. There's Mickey and Ricky, so he plays two characters basically in this story. And I think, honestly, it is probably his best performance out of his whole run, and he's very good. So let's get into some points on this one. Starting off with, the TARDIS has died. So yes, they land, it's kind of land in this parallel universe. Something goes very, very wrong with the TARDIS, and as they land, the TARDIS completely dies, all the lights are gone, and basically the Doctor's like, she's dead, the TARDIS is dead. But they eventually, are able to figure it out to fix it. But there's the TARDIS is dead. They are stuck on a parallel universe. Something's gone wrong. They've been sucked into this parallel universe, and they're now stuck there because the TARDIS is dead. So it's a very interesting concept to get them into this parallel universe and, make it so that they cannot leave because the TARDIS will not go anywhere. Rose's dad is alive and successful in this parallel world. So yeah, a big focus on this one is, of course, Pete Tyler, who in our real world is dead. We, of course, saw him in Father's Day from Series 1. And in this parallel world, though, he is still alive, and he is a very successful businessman. And yeah, it really confronts Rose, and it's great to see Pete back again, but a different Pete, technically. And all in all, yeah, I think he does a great performance. What's his name? I've got it up here somewhere. Sean Dingwall. He does a great performance here once again, just like he did in Father's Day, and all in all, is a very interesting character. Everyone gets info directly into their heads. So yeah, everybody's wearing these kind of earpieces, and information is just streamed into their heads at a certain time of day, and basically tells them what emotions to feel, to tell them to laugh, this is funny, this is serious news. Gets all beamed into their head at once. They just kind of stop, it all gets beamed in, and then they carry on with their days. a very interesting futuristic sort of, technology going on here, which we find out later on has more of a reason to be around than just giving people news. The Lion Sleeps Tonight playing over the cyber conversion. Now, I think this is a bit of a polarizing scene for some. I find it quite funny and also sadistic. And that's what it is. I mean, you have the whole cyber conversion thing going on. You have people screaming. You have the machines whizzing around, chopping people up. The noises are terrifying. But then you've got In the Jungle, the Mighty Jungle playing in the background. And it's funny. It's funny, but very sadistic and very horrifying. And I love it. Mickey and Ricky. Yep, of course, we've got the inclusion of Ricky in the story, the parallel world version of Mickey. And I'm glad that we have him because, like I said, this is Mickey's final proper story. He does come back later on in this series, in fact, at the end. But this is his last proper episode that he's in, and having the parallel version of him, because of course there's no parallel version of Rose here. She's a dog. The Doctor at least doesn't have a parallel version of himself that is on Earth right here at this point in time. Maybe there's a Doctor somewhere else. We don't know about that. And yeah, that's really it. Those were the three in the TARDIS. So having a different Mickey here is cool. The fact that he is this London's most wanted. It turns out he's most wanted for parking tickets. And he's a bit of a menace. And, he's with this group that are trying to figure out what's going on with Cybus Industries. I really like it. The distinction in Noel Clarke's performance between Mickey and Ricky, I think, is quite good. Of course, Ricky is much more menacing. He's a lot kind of deeper. And I think sometimes he almost, I wouldn't say that he makes Ricky seems a little bit more like Mickey, but there's a few moments where Mickey is very like high pitched in the way he talks, and although Mickey is a bit like that anyway, isn't he? But I don't know, at some points it feels like he's polarizing it a bit too much. But all in all, I still really like the performance and really like the concept of having these two characters. And of course, at the end of Rise of the Cybermen, the first part, we have the proper return of the Cybermen. We see them coming to Jackie's party. The Doctor knows exactly what they are. They surround everybody, and it is a pretty good cliffhanger. We'll talk about the resolution to the cliffhanger in a moment, but the actual cliffhanger itself is pretty good. You have the whole, but we're surrendering. I'm telling you, we're surrendering. The Cybermen are like, no, we don't care. We're going to delete you. Now, I will just briefly talk about the whole delete motto. I never used to have an issue with it because, well, for me, these were kind of the OG Cybermen. For me, I have now, of course, gone back and watched. I think I've watched every classic Cyberman story that is possible to watch. The only exceptions being The Wheel in Space. I think that might be it, actually. I think that's the only one that I haven't seen because it's not available in any real form of media. And of course, back in the day, they didn't have a catchphrase. They were just Cybermen. And they brought this catchphrase into the new series. I don't know why. I don't know if they were trying to make them kind of like the Daleks. Are like, well, the Daleks have exterminate, so we'll give the Cybermen delete. And yeah, like I said, I didn't used to mind it. I used to be fine with it. Looking back on it now, it's a bit cheesy. It's a bit silly. And yeah, I don't love it, especially when they're just delete, delete, delete. It's literally just exterminate, exterminate, exterminate. But exterminate sounds more menacing. Just the word itself just sounds more, it just sounds better. Just delete. It's just like, what are you doing? Just pressing delete on your keyboard? Like what? It's just a bit silly, isn't it? So on to the Age of Steel Part 2. And we first of all have bit of a cop-out cliffhanger resolution, but I guess I can also say bit of a crap cliffhanger resolution. Yeah, the Doctor ends up grabbing the kind of TARDIS light bulby thing that's charging up, and using that as a weapon to kill the Cybermen that are about to kill them. And then he's like, oh, we're gonna have to wait for it to charge again now. But oh well, we've managed to save our lives. I thought that was a bit of a cop out because at no point was it stated that this thing could be used as a weapon. And the fact that he points it at one Cyberman, and it kind of, I think he does point it around a bit, but it kind of just bounces from Cyberman to Cyberman. It's just like, it just seems a bit easy and a little bit like, oh, well, we didn't really know what to do with the resolution here, so we'll just put that in there and hope nobody really thinks about it too much. Pete was working undercover to spy on John Lumick. So, because I haven't really mentioned it so far, John Lumick is the kind of head of Cybus Industries. He's the one that's, bringing the Cybermen into this world. And Pete, for the whole thing, is known to be working with Cybus Industries, but it turns out that he's actually undercover spying on them because he is suspicious of what's going on. So I think that's a really good point for Pete's character, because if he was just a guy working with them, it would be a bit like, do we really want to trust this guy? So the fact that this comes out that he is actually a good guy and he's suspicious of what's going on here, I like that. Ricky is killed by the Cybermen. Yes, the other Mickey dies, Ricky dies. He is not able to outrun the Cybermen, and it's a very sad moment, actually. It is a very sad moment. And then when Mickey comes back round and there's only the one of them, and Rose is like, which one are you? And it's like, it's Mickey. It's a very emotional moment. And yeah, of course, all of Ricky's friends are then really annoyed and like, oh, why did it have to be him that died, not you? And all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I mean, it sets up the whole, dynamic that they have at the end of the story. But yeah, it's a sad scene, but a good one. Lumic is converted to Cyber Controller. So yeah, Lumic is eventually converted. One of the main reasons why he's making the Cybermen is because he is dying. He has some sort of issues, can't breathe very well, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And eventually, he's really bad with it, and the Cybermen are like, "We're going to convert you now." He doesn't want to be converted. That's the funny thing. He wants everybody to be converted into Cybermen, but him actually being converted himself, it scares the crap out of him. So that's an interesting take as well. He wants all this to happen to everybody, but him being converted, although in his mind it's for his better health, he's still very against it when the Cybermen kind of drag him away to convert him. But he does get converted into Cyber Controller. He's in the seat. He looks pretty cool. And yeah, the Cyberman whose emotional inhibitor breaks. I love that scene when the Doctor and I can't remember what her name is. I've got it on here somewhere. Mrs. Moore, that's it. When the Doctor and Mrs. Moore are kind of down in sort of the sewers sort of thing, and there's a bunch of Cybermen around. They kill a Cyberman, but it's not quite dead, and its emotional inhibitor has been destroyed, and it starts talking as if it was the person that it used to be. That's a very touching moment, actually, and then is very abruptly ended with Mrs. Moore getting killed by another Cyberman who somehow creeps up on them. I never understood that. They're Cybermen. They have metal feet. They're completely made of metal, but somehow this Cyberman manages to sneak up on them and, yeah, kills Mrs. Moore, and God knows how they didn't hear that coming. How can Mickey hack into the Zeppelin and control the earpieces? It's another Mickey hacking thing, which there's been quite a few of now, or is this only the second time it's happening? It's either the second or third time this is happening where he's hacking into something, and it just doesn't really make sense. They don't know what, it's him and Jake are on the Zeppelin trying to figure out what to do, and he's like, move out of the way, I'm gonna just, type in some stuff here and, figure out what I'm doing to mess around with the earpieces and blah, blah, and he just starts typing away, and it's just like, you're just typing random stuff. And then, of course, you have the Doctor rambling on to Mickey to find the emotional inhibitor code, because then he's got to put a code in to then, completely get rid of the emotional inhibitor. And to do that, I love the whole scene of the Doctor trying to give Mickey the code. Great scene. Very subtle, and also not. With the way he's trying to, about some sort of idiot and saying a bunch of random numbers. Subtle, funny, love that scene. However, it doesn't make sense when, the Doctor tells him the number, he types it into a phone, and then there's conveniently just a spot that this phone will slip into, and apparently just having the phone typed in on the phone, having the number typed in on the phone and plugging it into this thing, that just puts in the code. Okay. Finally, Mickey stays behind. Yes, I said it at the start. Of course, with Ricky gone and with Ricky's, is it grandmother in this universe where she died in Mickey's universe, there is now no Ricky to look after his grandmother. So Mickey is going to take his place. And because he doesn't believe there's anything left in his own universe, basically hinting at, hey, Rose, you've been a bit of a bitch to me. You don't want me around, so I might as well just stay here where somebody does actually want me. And it's a very emotional moment, but you know what? Rose had it coming. She acts like it's really emotional for her, and I'm sure it is in some ways, but at the same time, you've got to be up for Mickey being like, you know what? Yes, you've done the right thing, mate. You've been treated really badly by Rose over these last couple of years, so you're doing the right thing. And that is everything I have to say about Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. What did I think of it? What would I give it out of 10? Well, I'm going to give this story a 7 out of 10. It sits about where I used to rate it, maybe a little bit lower. I think, yeah, it is not the best for sure. The Cybermen themselves, great having them back, but I don't like the whole delete catchphrase that we get from here onwards. And ultimately, there's a lot of stuff going on here that I'm not a big fan of. The convenience and the silliness of being able to hack the blimp and all that sort of stuff, I don't love. But I do love the stuff with Rose and with Pete, with all that side of it, the whole family side of it, to be honest, with Ricky and Mickey and his grandmother and the whole other group with Jake and all that. I quite like that group as well. And yeah, there's some very good stuff going in here. There's some very great moments, but unfortunately it is bagged down quite a lot by a lot of fluff and a lot of stuff that doesn't really make sense and work. But a 7 out of 10 is what I'm going to give it. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.